My name is Emma, 28 years old, and I've always believed that honesty defines who I am. I sit in my modest apartment, the dim light casting long shadows over an old envelope I clutch with trembling fingers. The room is quiet except for the faint hum of the city outside, a stark contrast to the storm brewing within me. Inside the envelope is a photograph, me during my senior year of high school, at a party with a drink in my hand, standing next to my former literature teacher, Margaret. Her decision to use this image to blackmail me has turned my carefully built life into a house of cards, teetering on the edge of collapse. My heart thumps wildly in my chest, a frantic rhythm that drowns out the world, but a growing anger begins to overshadow the fear. This woman thinks she can wield my past like a weapon, and I'm determined to prove her wrong, though the path ahead feels shrouded in uncertainty. Margaret was a formidable presence during my high school years, strict, yet undeniably inspiring. She had a commanding voice that filled the classroom, her critiques of my poetry both cutting and encouraging. I remember the first time she read my poem about a stormy sea, her eyes lighting up as she said, "Emma, you have a gift for capturing emotion." Those words fueled my dreams of becoming a writer, though life steered me toward graphic design instead. Her lessons were rigorous, filled with late-night essay revisions and debates about classic literature, shaping my analytical mind. She wore her authority like a crown, her dark hair always pulled back, her gaze piercing through any excuse. After graduation, our paths diverged, her to retirement, me to a career I'd built with sweat and integrity. We lost touch until that fateful phone call a week ago, a moment that shattered my peace. The call came late, the ringtone jolting me from a restless sleep. "Emma, do you recall that photo?" Margaret's voice was icy, each word deliberate. "If it reaches your family or employer, your career is done." I froze, the phone slipping slightly in my sweat-dampened hand. That night, I was just 18, celebrating the end of exams with a handful of classmates in a friend's basement. The drink was a single beer, a rare indulgence, and the photo captured a fleeting, innocent moment. But Margaret had twisted it into a threat. "Pay me $500 a month, or else," she demanded, her tone leaving no room for negotiation before the line went dead. That moment stripped away my sense of security, leaving me staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with the implications. Sleep has eluded me since. I stare at the photo again, Margaret's sly smile, her arm casually draped near me, as if she'd been waiting for this opportunity. The image is grainy, taken by someone I can't recall, but her presence looms large. I work as a graphic designer at a small agency, a job I poured my soul into, crafting logos and campaigns that have earned me respect. A scandal like this could unravel it all. My parents, conservative and deeply proud of my achievements, would be devastated, Dad's quiet nods of approval at family dinners, Mom's tears when I landed my first big client, all at risk. My boss, a kind but meticulous man named Mr. Larson, trusts me with major accounts. One hint of impropriety could shatter that trust. The weight of her demand presses down, a suffocating burden, but a flicker of defiance flares within me. I won't let her win without a struggle, though I'm unsure how to begin. I rewind to that party in my mind, piecing together fragmented memories. It was a rare escape, the air thick with laughter and the scent of cheap pizza. Margaret was there, an odd sight among the teens, her presence explained later as a chaperone for a school event that had spilled over. I barely spoke to her, sticking to my small circle, but someone, perhaps a classmate with a camera phone, snapped that shot. Why did she keep it? The question gnaws at me. I rummaged through my old yearbook, its pages yellowed and crinkled, finding her contact, still the same number, a relic of her unchanging control. I dial, masking my intent with nostalgia. "Margaret, those were good times," I say lightly, forcing a smile into my voice. She chuckles, "Oh, Emma, some memories are treasures." Her tone carries a hint of dominance, a veiled threat, and I end the call, my thoughts churning with possibilities. I start digging for evidence, my hands unsteady as I open my laptop. In my email archives, I uncover a message from her years ago, commending my essay on romantic poetry, a sign of our past bond, not blackmail. The words, "Your depth of feeling is rare," feel like a mockery now. On social media, I find her posts boasting about molding successful students, likely referencing me among others, her pride a mask for her schemes. It's a fragile start, but it's a thread to pull. I confide in my friend Emily, a journalist with a sharp mind, over coffee at her cluttered kitchen table. "Emma, this is extortion," she says, her brow furrowing as she leans forward. "Record her next call, and we can expose her, but tread carefully, she seems dangerous." I nod, downloading a call recorder app, my fingers trembling as I configure it, the weight of my decision settling in. The following day, her call comes, the ringtone a jolt to my nerves. "Your first payment is due tomorrow," she barks, her impatience cutting through the line. I steady my voice, drawing on every ounce of calm I can muster. "Margaret, let's meet. I need to understand." She agrees to a cafe rendezvous, her tone smug, as if she's already won. I prepare meticulously, recorder hidden in my bag, a notebook to jot details, a mental list of questions to probe her motives. This meeting will be my first step to reclaim control. As I step out into the cool evening air, a blend of dread and resolve fills me. She believes she has me cornered, her power absolute, but I harbor a secret she can't fathom, a plan born from desperation that might just turn the tables. My next move will shift the balance, and she won't anticipate it until it's too late. The day of the cafe meeting arrived, and my nerves were a tight knot in my chest. I chose a secluded corner table, adjusting the recorder hidden in my bag to ensure it captured every word. Margaret entered, her black coat swishing, a confident smirk on her face. "Emma, you're finally seeing reason," she said, sliding into the seat across from me. "Where's the money?" I took a deep breath, keeping my voice steady. "Let's talk first," I replied, flipping open my notebook as a prop. She sipped her coffee, then leaned in. "I don't have time for games. Pay, or that photo goes public." Her words carried an edge of impatience, and I noticed her fingers twitching, signs of her own unease. "Why are you doing this?" I asked, softening my tone to draw her out. "It's simple," she said, glancing away. "I'm collecting from my old students. A little support for my retirement." The recorder's red light blinked steadily, this was gold. I nodded, pretending to consider, and let her ramble about her struggles. After she left, I hurried to Emily's place. "The recording's clear," she confirmed, listening intently. "But we need to verify its legality. Talk to a lawyer." She suggested her friend James, and I scheduled a meeting for that afternoon. James, a sharp-eyed attorney, reviewed the audio in his cluttered office. "Emma, this is blackmail," he said firmly. "You can take it to the police, but more evidence will solidify your case. Keep documenting." I agreed, feeling a surge of hope. The next day, Margaret texted, "Don't delay the payment." I ignored it, letting her frustration simmer. At work, I began reaching out to old classmates. Sarah, once Margaret's favorite, shared a startling revelation. She asked some of us for money after graduation. I refused, but others caved. This suggested a pattern. Sarah mentioned an old notebook Margaret kept, possibly more clues. I resolved to track it down. That evening, I visited my mom's attic, sifting through boxes of my school memorabilia. Amidst faded notebooks, I found a letter from Margaret. "Emma, your talent is remarkable." Tucked inside was a scrap of paper with another student's name and $500 paid scribbled on it, hard evidence of her scheme. I photographed it and sent it to James. "This is strong," he replied. "But we need to catch her in the act to build an airtight case." I nodded, a plan forming. I texted Margaret, "I'll deliver the cash in person, but it must be just us." She agreed to meet in a quiet park. I prepared a fake envelope with blank paper, my recorder ready. At the meeting, I handed it over. "Here's your money," I said, watching her open it. Her face contorted with rage. "Is this a joke?" she hissed. "Yes," I said, revealing the device. "It's over." She stormed off, but the recording was secure. Back home, I called James. "Time to act," he said. We compiled the evidence, recordings, the note, Sarah's account, and submitted it to the police. Margaret was arrested days later, her smugness replaced by panic. At work, my boss noticed my distraction. "Emma, what's going on?" he asked. I explained briefly, and he offered support. "You're handling this well." Margaret's downfall had started, but my victory was still unfolding. The days following Margaret's arrest were a blur of relief and lingering tension. I woke each morning to a quiet apartment, now a haven of legal files and coffee mugs, my mind racing with what lay ahead. The police had taken my recordings, the notebook scrap, and Sarah's statement, launching a full investigation. Margaret was out on bail, but her once imposing reputation was unraveling. Former students whispered about her past demands, and the school where she'd taught quietly distanced itself. I felt a cautious victory, but the real test was still to come. James connected me with a prosecutor, Rachel, who reviewed the case with a keen eye. "Emma, your evidence is compelling, extortion and coercion are clear," she said, her voice steady. "We're moving forward with charges, but she might push for a plea. Prepare for court." I nodded, steeling myself for the confrontation. The idea of facing Margaret again sent a chill through me, but I was resolute. Emily dug deeper, finding an old forum post from another student detailing similar threats from Margaret years ago. We added it to the file, bolstering our stance. The court date arrived, a stark room filled with the hum of nervous energy. Margaret sat across from me, her usual poise replaced by a strained expression. Her lawyer argued it was a misunderstanding, insisting the photo was a harmless prank that escalated. I took the stand, my palms sweaty but my voice firm. "Margaret used that photo to extort me," I declared. "I uncovered proof she targeted others too." I presented the notebook note and played the park recording, her threats ringing out. The courtroom fell silent, her lawyer's confidence wavering. Margaret took the stand, denying it all, accusing me of spinning false narratives out of spite. But Rachel countered with the forum post and Sarah's testimony, read with chilling clarity. The judge, a no-nonsense man named Judge Carter, called a recess to deliberate. I sat with James, my hands clasped, the weight agonizing. After what felt like forever, Judge Carter returned. "Guilty on 2 counts of extortion," he announced. "Sentencing will follow a full review." Margaret's sharp intake of breath echoed as she was led away. Relief washed over me, though the outcome remained incomplete. Sentencing came days later. Margaret was handed a 2-year prison term, a hefty fine, and a restraining order. Her teaching credentials were stripped, and the media painted her as a cautionary tale of abuse of power. I didn't revel in it, her collapse was satisfaction enough. At work, my boss called me in, impressed. "Emma, you've shown incredible strength," he said, offering a promotion to lead designer. I accepted, my confidence restored. I channeled the experience into growth. I launched a blog, Silent Resilience, sharing anonymous stories of overcoming manipulation, which quickly gained followers. Emily co-authored, and we planned a support group for victims. My parents, initially shocked, stood by me, proud of my courage. I transformed my apartment into a peaceful retreat, a symbol of my renewal. The weeks following Margaret's sentencing ushered in an unexpected calm, a stark contrast to the storm that had consumed my life. I woke each morning to the gentle sunlight spilling through my freshly decorated apartment, the legal turmoil now a fading echo. Margaret was securely behind bars, her appeals rejected after a rigorous review by the courts. Whispers from Emily and scattered news reports painted a grim picture. Her savings were depleted by the fine, her home foreclosed, and her once sterling reputation reduced to a cautionary tale. Former colleagues avoided her name, and students who'd once admired her now spoke of her in hushed, disapproving tones. I didn't chase these updates, they found me, a testament to the power of my silence. Her complete downfall brought a quiet satisfaction, but my journey was about more than her ruin, it was about rebuilding myself. At work, my promotion to lead designer opened new horizons. I spearheaded a campaign for a prestigious client, a tech startup eager to rebrand, and the project's success earned me widespread praise and a substantial bonus. The extra income allowed me to clear lingering debts and invest in a sleek new laptop, a tool to fuel my creativity. My team, initially wary of my ordeal, grew to respect my steady hand. I took Sarah, a timid new designer, under my wing, sharing techniques I'd honed and lessons from my resilience. Her first solo project, a logo design, won client approval, and her grateful smile mirrored my own growth. The role wasn't just a title, it was a reclaiming of my worth, a defiant stand against the fear Margaret had sown. My blog, Silent Resilience, blossomed into a beacon of hope. What started as a personal outlet garnered hundreds of followers within weeks, each sharing their own tales of manipulation and triumph. Emily and I hosted our first support group meeting in a cozy community center, a modest turnout of 10 that swelled with emotion. One attendee, a young woman blackmailed by a professor, clung to me after sharing her story, her tears a mirror to my past pain. Her whispered thank you ignited a fire in me. We planned a website with resources, a hotline for immediate help, and workshops to empower victims. The blog's success led to a local radio interview, where I spoke anonymously about turning vulnerability into strength. My voice, though masked, carried a newfound authority. My personal life began to heal too. My parents, initially shaken by the scandal, visited with a homemade cake, their pride in my courage mending old rifts. We laughed over childhood memories, the tension dissolving as they admired my apartment's transformation, new curtains, a vibrant rug, and Mom's old poetry book framed on the wall. That book, a gift from my teenage years, became my anchor, its pages whispering the resilience that carried me through. I started dating again, meeting Daniel, an illustrator with a gentle demeanor and a respect for my boundaries. Our first date, a quiet art gallery visit, felt like a fresh start. His sketches of cityscapes mirrored my own rebuilding. One evening, a letter arrived, postmarked from the prison. Margaret's shaky handwriting pleaded for forgiveness, claiming desperation and illness had driven her actions. She detailed losing her pension, her isolation, and begged for a chance to explain. I read it once, the words heavy with regret, then carried it to my kitchen sink. Lighting a match, I watched the paper curl into ashes, the act of release rather than revenge. Forgiveness wasn't mine to offer, her punishment, delivered by the law, was justice enough. I realized this wasn't solely about outsmarting her, it was about redeeming myself. My secret, patience, proof, and persistence had transformed her weapon into my armor. The impact of my story rippled outward. A local women's shelter invited me to speak, and I shared tips on documenting evidence, my voice steady as I recounted my strategy. The audience's nods and notes filled me with purpose. I donated part of my bonus to the shelter, funding a legal aid program, a tribute to the support I'd leaned on. At work, Sarah's growth inspired me to propose a mentorship initiative, which my boss greenlit, expanding our team's potential. Daniel and I planned a collaborative project, a children's book blending his illustrations with my poetry, our first creative venture together. Reflecting, I've learned that silence, when paired with strategy, is a formidable force. Margaret's blackmail laid bare my vulnerabilities, but it forged an unshakable strength. Her attempt to control me became the catalyst for my liberation. One night, I dreamed of her classroom, but this time, I stood at the front, teaching, not her. The dream lingered, a symbol of my ascent. If you faced a blackmailer or manipulator, this story is for you. Share your journey below, your strength matters. Subscribe to Revenge Tempest for more tales of triumph, and hit the bell for updates. Until we meet again.